Чуешь, чуешь. Наоборот. Не шедевр, короче, не шедевр. И все, да. Не скрипи давай уже. День уже космический баланс тут. Шапку не бери. Наверное, нет. Да, наверное, нет. Ну, когда выкарабкиваешься, начал играть, играть, когда уже. Make friends and rhythm. Life is rhythm, да. Полистались, да. Тихонько слово, ну тихонько слово. Ну да. Дивизия. Опять что ли? Зачем их хитро? Надо делать. Ну наоборот, это есть на самом деле. Ну наоборот, это да. Ну наоборот. Ну не надо писать, значит, да. Наоборот.
Ну, тебе надо это, ну, да, надо это. Это не видно. Надо отказаться от себя. Да. Ну, да, да. Ну, да, да, да. Наверное. 11 часов, уже 11 часов. Вот нелепо, вот так вот она выглядела, эта штучка, которую сегодня Что ты там мухаешь?
Hello folks, Simon here, welcome back to Final Fantasy VII New Threat 2.0 and it's boss fight time. We are going for an
Нибельхейм, вот это Нибельхейм.
optional encounter today. I'm going to explain how you beat this thing. It's quite a fun fight actually, especially for those of you who are fans of Final Fantasy IX. You're going to like this one. Now, this isn't the final boss that's the culmination of the secret quest we've been doing over the last few episodes, but it is required as part of that secret quest chain. So you don't need to have solved the 4 clues to access this fight, but it doesn't matter whether you have or you haven't. I'm just going to do it at this point in time. You need to do it at some point because of the item the boss drops. We are going to be using that a little bit later on. So then, okay, make your way over to Nibelheim.
Как бы вообще туфта полная, да, наоборот.
Make your way to the Shinra mansion. There's a nice save point here. I'm just going to go over my setup so you can see what it is I'm going for. I haven't put much thought into this because, quite frankly, I've got the Masamune Blade, and the Masamune Blade really takes care of business. If you don't have this item, you really should get it. And if you just check my video, 2 videos ago I think it was, I explained the process of crafting the Masamune. It's not that difficult to get, and it's very powerful. You can use it on any party member, and the 100% crit rate is going to really come into its own against fights where the enemies have high evasion stats, since crits can never miss. Now, in terms of materia for Cloud, I've started with Elemental Pearl combination in weapon, and that's because the boss we're facing off against is, as you probably guessed, weak to the holy element. And aside from that, I've just probably guessed, weak to the holy element. And aside from that, I've just chucked a load of stuff on him that will boost his strength stats. So strength, strength, strength plus strength. Okay, I've put counter attack on, but this might be a double-edged sword because I don't think this boss functions with a normal ATB. Now, the way the boss attacks is that it will simply counter everything we do with its own abilities. Now, it probably does have an ATB and we'll get an extra attack off every now and then, but yeah, just be careful about counter attack because the boss will even counter attack. And I've put Choco Mog and Typhon on just to counter some of the dex removing summons with a little bit of extra dexterity. Now for Ares, enemy away, actually kind of useful as you'll see in a few moments. HP plus, not really required. She's going to be starting with W item Peerless or W item Gospel Spark for Peerless on herself and on Cloud. and preemptive, which I don't think is needed because I'm pretty sure this fight always starts with a preemptive in favour of our party. And then Yuffie, time all, not really going to use that, don't know why I've equipped it, and sense as well, so I can share the actual stats with you guys. Okay, so let's head into the mansion, and the first thing we need to do is head into this back room here. And the reason for that is we have to get the boss to spawn. It won't spawn by default. To spawn it, we need to head over to the piano, and we need to play the piano with the tune that we know and love by now, but I will put it up on the screen for you. So, one thing to note, this seems a little bit bugged, and some of the notes don't play correctly, at least they don't for me. And instead of a note playing, we'll get the sound of a menu opening or something, or a menu being cancelled. Don't worry about it, the tune still works, even though some of the notes don't play correctly. So the tune is Do, Re, Mi, Ti, La, Do, Re, Mi again, So, Fa, Do, Re, Do, and then we just press start. That sound effect indicates that we have triggered the boss. So now when we head back, I love the way the music changes to the ominous Sephiroth theme as well once you've done that. Once we head back to the main room here, it's Ozma from Final Fantasy IX, and it plays out just like Ozma. It has the same abilities and everything. Now before you actually engage in combat, you can go ahead and leave and save your game, and that way you don't have to fanny about with the piano again should you fail and need to start again. So make sure you've correctly set up your party if you haven't done that before, and once you've saved, let's go and give this fight a bit of a jolly up, shall we? Now this is where Enemy Away comes in handy. This fight is a pain to trigger. You have to sort of run around and find the exact spot. It really is a nuisance, I'm not sure why. Okay, I think you have to actually get close to the body and tap the confirm button. At least that seemed to work for me anyway. Right then, so we're going to start with Gospel Spark, and we're going to cast it first of all on Cloud so that any counters won't kill him. We're also going to sense the boss, and then we're going to open with 4x cut. Okay, see how it countered? Bang. And they're dead already. Very nasty. But oh my, that Masamune blade is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Right, let's see if we can get some of these back to life. Although to be honest with you, they're probably going to be dead before I can even get Peerless cast on them. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, level 5 death won't affect any of our party members. And let's go for Gospel Spark on Ares. Oh, we might actually manage to get through this fight with everybody still alive. Sorry I haven't been able to cast Sense as of yet. But I can tell you that this boss is level 112 and has 55,000 hit points or thereabouts. Oh, that is nasty. I don't think I got the second cast of W item off. No, and it's still countered. Yeah, this thing counters everything. It's a really, really mean fight. But it does that in Final Fantasy IX. Right, looks like we've got it though. Nice, nice. I'll tell you, Masamune is just so powerful. Oh, and it finishes with a level 5 death once you've killed it. But as long as your party members don't have levels that are multiples of 5, that won't be a problem. 82,000 experience, so Cloud should get some nice levels there. I think I forgot to give him experience plus, which I intended to do. Oh well. Oh no, I think I did. No, I don't think I did. Still, few levels gained, and that's the item we're going to need. Okay, we're going to need that as part of the ultimate puzzle solve thingy that we're working on. So that's why we did this boss fight. It's the only thing it gives you, and there's nothing to steal or morph, so don't worry about that. But there we have it then, folks, with the Masamoon, a bit of Gospel Spark action. That fight isn't going to be too challenging, okay? I was a little bit unfortunate that Ares and Yuffie were killed early on. But if we were able to get Peerless active and it didn't cast that particular Holy level 4, whatever it was, I think that's what killed Ares and Yuffie, then we shouldn't have had any deaths anyway. But hey, we got through the fight and that's what matters. So yeah, next time, things are going to get really interesting. We've got the ultimate boss fight that I want to show you guys, and I need to really look into that because that is tough. But hopefully with the Masamoon Blade, we might stand a chance. So yeah, hope you guys will look forward to that. But thanks for stopping by. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Добро пожаловать в Lineage 2 Essence.
Сейчас мне показывают.
Не завись от других. Играй.
After being introduced in Final Fantasy III as entities
Эй.
After being introduced in Final Fantasy III as entities of immense strength that could aid the party, but also stand in their way, summons have become a persistent staple in almost every Final Fantasy
Нет, ну
game.
если я какой-то лох и неряха, то почему? Здесь как-то- Ну ладно. Ну наоборот, как это.
Over the years, there have been an absolute mountain of summons available for players to acquire and call upon, from stalwarts like Bahamut, Shiva, and Ifrit, through to some of the more unorthodox entries like Eggman and Balfour. But even though some have been handed to the player as part of natural progression, not all summons have been so easy to acquire, and over the years, as the methods have varied, so too has the difficulty. Today, we're going to run through some of the hardest summons to obtain across the entire franchise, and we're going to kick things off with Ark from Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX had a heavy emphasis on Eidolons, as they were not only integrated into the story, but they were also aligned to two of the playable cast members, Garnet and Eiko. Due to their heritage, each was able to call forth a different selection of Eidolons, with some innate and some acquired as the game progressed. But Ark stood alone as by far the most difficult Eidolon to obtain, as even though there were two methods of acquisition, neither was particularly easy. Ark could be learnt by Garnet from a pumice, and this could be obtained as a reward for beating Ozma, one of the hardest super bosses in the history of the franchise, or from Synthesis via Hades' shop. But to gain access to that shop would require Hades to also be defeated, which, while not as tough as Ozma, was still difficult, and you'd still need to have two pumice pieces. One could be obtained after defeating Ark, while the other would require the player to find Chocograph 22. Needless to say, both paths would require a lot of time, dedication, and skill, but the reward was access to by far the most powerful Eidolon in the game. As an aside, Ark not only acted as a reference to one of the earliest games created by Hironobu Sakaguchi called Cruise Chaser Blasty, but its inclusion also created some interesting points within the game's lore, as it was a Terran Eidolon as opposed to being a Gaian Eidolon. And if you'd like to find out more about that, we'd recommend you check out our Final Fantasy IX Facts video. Bahamut is perhaps the most well-known summon due to its awesome aesthetic and insane damage output. And it's because of its high stature that over the years Bahamut has often wanted to test a player's strength before lending its support. In Final Fantasy IV The After Years, the scenario of fighting against Bahamut to obtain its services returned, but when it appeared as an ally to the mysterious girl in the final chapter, the method of acquisition was not as straightforward as it first seemed, as it wasn't just a case of simply defeating Bahamut in combat. One of the more interesting mechanics in the after years related to the role specific characters played and their involvement in the story. In the case of Bahamut, due to the role of Rydia, if she wasn't present in the battle, it would result in an immediate game over,